Greetings and welcome to another video about VoiceAttack, the EliteVA plugin and Elite Dangerous. In today's episode, we're going to look at PIPs and how to manage them. So if we pop into the game, so PIPs. Your ship and your SRV have 6 PIPs that you can spread between the weapons, engines and systems capacitors. You can have extra PIPs if you have players on board, but they control those PIPs, not you. So for the purposes of this video, we'll ignore those for the time being. So if you're familiar with the PIPs management, feel free to skip ahead to the command section. But for those who aren't quite familiar, we'll go through a few of the basics. You have binds to balance the power back to 2, 2 and 2. And then you have a bind, move it one into systems, engines or weapons. Every time you press a key, it moves a PIP into that particular capacitor. But moving around the capacitors can be a little bit quirky. So for example, if you wanted to put 4 into engines, you just, in this case, tap twice, and you got 4 in engines. And 1's left in systems and 1 is left in weapons. But if you then wanted to put 2 into, say, systems, you'd think you just press the systems bind once. So there you can just see you've got half a PIP in weapons, so you have to press systems again. But now you can see you've got 3 in systems and 3 in engines, which is not what you wanted. You wanted that. As I say, they are a little bit quirky. The way I found around it is, go back to the balanced. If you want to put 4 into engines and 2 into systems, you do it back to front. So the secondary capacitor, in this case systems, we fill up first. And then we fill up the primary capacitor we wanted, in this case, engines. And we get it the way we wanted it. And then if you wanted, say, 4 in weapons and 2 in engines, we can balance the power, 4 into engines, and then 4 into weapons. And that sets it the way we want it. It's a bit of a quirky system, the PIPs. But once you understand how it works, it's not too bad. So the first command we can make is a balance power command. So if we go to VoiceAttack, and if we go into the profile, we need to make up a new command. In this case, we're going to call it balance power. We can copy that, go down to the description, and here we'll do power commands. Now we need to know the keybind for balance power. So if we go to Notepad++, which I highly recommend as a text editor, especially for doing things like this, we've got our bindings file. And here we've got reset power distribution. So if we highlight the variable itself, and we go into here, we need a key press. We're going to use a variable. And that's it. And that will just balance the power. So if we OK that and OK that, if we change something, balance power. So if we now change something, balance power. And that balances the power. However, if the power is already balanced, we don't really want the command to run again, do we? Balance power. A, it's not going to do anything, and it's a bit of a waste. What we can do, if we can go back into the command, if you're working on a command and you want it to go straight back into it, hold down the control key and then click on the edit profile window, and it automatically opens up the last command you was working on. What we want to do a condition in here now. We want to check to see what the PIPs already are. So we want to go Other, Advanced, Begin, Compound Condition Builder. Okay. Now we need to have a look at the status file. Ignore these ones here. We want these ones. So we're looking at weapons. If that equals 4, now oddly, for some reason, the journal files 4 equals 2, 8 equals 4. That might have to do with the multi-crew that we mentioned earlier, where you can have extra players on the ship, which give you extra pips. If that equals 4, and then we need to do the other one, so I'm just going to there and then duplicate and then duplicate. This might save a bit of time. Edit that. I'm going to go to engines and then systems. Move that in the right spot. So we're saying if it equals 4 and that equals 4 and that equals 4, double click on end condition, and we would then want to exit the command straight away. Now, in this case, it doesn't really matter too much because there's only that one command. But as we build other commands, it's more efficient if the command doesn't run if it doesn't need to. That's just a best practice thing to do. So now we've got the balance power command. We can use that in our other commands. Now you can have other voice triggers in there if you want. We can make it a bit more dynamic. VoiceAttack lets you have what's called dynamic commands, and you open them with a square bracket. Now, I've covered this in another video, which I'll put a link to in the top right corner. We've got balance, and if you want to put in a second word, we do a semicolon, space, in this case, reset, close square bracket, power. So we can now say either balance or reset power. I mean, if we wanted to, we could also do bracket, semicolon, pips, if we wanted to. Close square bracket. If we OK that and OK that, go back to the game, reset pips, balance pips, reset power. We give ourselves some alternative commands. It makes it a bit more interactive. And now go back to VoiceAttack again. So now we've got that. We can go through and we can do more things with it. We could make a command just to move one pip to something. That's a nice and easy one to do. So we go new command. We can go 1 pip to weapons. Copy that. Description. We can add that into power commands. Okay, so then all we want to do now is just do a single key press. We need to go to our bindings file and we need to find increase weapons power. Is that one there? With that, click the variable, paste it in, and away we go. Done. 1 pip to weapons. 1 pip to weapons. We can control it that way. We go back again, and we can then we right click, go to duplicate. We can change that to engines. Copy that. Now I know that I could just go in there and just change that to increase engines power. We'll just double check it. We've got it there. And then while we're here, we'll do duplicate again, and then we'll do systems. Copy. Paste. And what we're going to do is just going to cheat again, copy that, and then increased systems power. It doesn't need the case in there, but Keeps it nice and tidy. 1 pip to engines. 1 pip to systems. 1 pip to systems. 1 pip to engines. Okay, so we can now control one at a time if we wanted to. Can be handy in some situations. You never know. There's no harm in having it. Now we could get clever if we wanted to, and we could make that into one big command. But is it needed? Well, it depends on you. If you're interested in knowing how to do that, let me know, and I'll do that as a separate little video maybe. Clear that. I'm going to go back into the profile. So we can move 1 pip at a time. But what if we wanted to put, like we mentioned earlier, say 4 into weapons and 2 into engines, or 4 into systems and 2 into engines? Well, we could do that too. Let's make up a new command. And let's call this systems and engines. Do that. Description, and then power commands. Then we need to do a little bit more complicated stuff. So what we need to do now is check to see if the pips are within the condition we want them to be. There's no point running a command if we don't need to. But we can also do an additional check to see if we're actually in the SRV or the ship. And we didn't do that in the other ones, but we can go back and add it in afterwards. So what we can now do, we go to the status file. So now we want to look at, are we in the ship? Where's the mothership? There we go. So we can grab that one there. We can then go other, advanced, begin, conditional compound. They want to do a true or false. Are we in the mothership? We want to leave it as false. And are we in the SRV? And we go there. So if both of these are false, we're in neither of them. And if we're in neither of them, we want to come out of the command. There's no point running it if we're on foot, for example. And then we also want to do another one there, which is or. And this is going to need to be an integer because we're now going to look to see what our status is here. So in this case, we want to do systems and engines. So we know that if we got all the pips in a capacitor, that's going to be 8. So if it's 8, and then in this case we're looking for engines there, equals 4. Okay, that work out again. Now it's going to say, going to do 2 different checks. Are we in the SRV or the ship? Or are the pips already at 8 and 4? If either of those are true, we want to end the command and just go out straight away. And then we want to reset the pips back to the default state of 2, 2, and 2. We can go other, VoiceAttack action, execute another command, and then we can select from the drop down list here. We'll scroll down through all the other ones. There we go. I've got one we made earlier, the balance of power. Click that, and OK it. So rather than recreate that key press, we can just execute the command that we've already got. As you build a profile, you make commands that are quite complicated that you can then execute elsewhere. So now we need to actually set the pips the way we want to do it. So if you remember, you do the secondary capacitor first and then the primary capacitor second. And we want to use a loop. So we go to other, advanced, and then you want to do a loop start, and we want to do it X number of times. So we want to do repeating a certain number of times. So in the case, we go 2. Okay, that. And then we need to press a key. So we need to go back to our bindings. And we want increase engines power. Grab that one. And then key press, variable, done. If we now OK that, we can test it quickly. Systems and engines. So we now got the 4 pips in engines. While we're here, we can just check how many key presses we need to do to get 4 into systems. And I know it's 3, but 1, 2, 3. That's how we want it. Back to the command. What we can now do is highlight the loop, right click, duplicate, and we can double click to change that to 3. Go back to our keybinds, and then we want systems. Copy that. And then change that. OK, OK. Systems and engines. There you go. Nice and easy. So now we can make more commands. Easiest way of doing it, edit the profile. And if we right click and then duplicate again, we can make a number of combinations. So for example, we could just flip this around. If I grab that there, paste it at the beginning, then copy systems. Might be quicker to type it, but hey ho. The first thing we need to do is we need to change the initial condition check. We're going to set, and then we want to swap these around. Change that to 8. Change that to 4. Doesn't necessarily matter which order they're in, but if you keep it consistent as you build commands, it will make more sense 6 months down the road when you come back to look at something. And then we need to swap these around. And then we need to change that to 2. And that to 3. OK that and OK that. Engines and systems. Systems and engines. Balance power. While we're here, we can deploy the SRV. And we'll test it in the SRV as well. It should work, but you need to check these things. The right tick deploys and balance power. Systems and engines. Engines and systems. Systems and engines. Balance power. There we go. So we know it works. So now we've got that, we can make some more up. We go back in and we can then duplicate again. So might want to do another one, say weapons and systems. So we right click, duplicate, we just do weapons and systems. Place it in there. Okay. And then we need to edit this one again. And then around, go back to the text files, and we need to grab the weapons variable, which is that one there. Go to there, paste it in there, and we need to make sure that's 8, and that is 4. Okay, that. Then we need to move this around again. Change that back to 2. And then we need to change that to 3. And then we need to make sure we change the keybind. It'll be the weapons one. That one there. Okay, okay, done. We go and test it quick. Weapons and systems. Engines and systems. Weapons and systems. Balance power. Okay. That's a nice easy way of doing things. And it won't run the command if it's already in that state. Weapons and systems. Weapons and systems. We see nothing, it doesn't move. It's just an efficient way of doing it. Saves having run code if you don't need to. So now we've got these base bits here. You can expand those if you wanted to. You can make engines and weapons, weapons and engines. You know, there's a couple of more combinations you can cover. And you could also, if you wanted to, split them, 3 and 3 if you felt like it. It's up to you how you want to work it out, but at least that gives you hopefully a building block on what you can do with the pips. So the eagle-eyed one, you might have noticed that I forgot one little thing. The fighter. Are we in the SLF? What we need to do is go into here quickly, and then in here, we need to add in another little option. So we just want to duplicate that, and then that should just be in fighter. do that. Okay, do that one. Go there, do that one and do that again. And then do the other one in engines and systems. There you go. That's that done. The other thing we also didn't do is balance and power. We need to add that into here as well. So come back out that quick. Go into here and there. And if we highlight all of these, I can copy. Okay. Go back into here. And then if we right click, edit, and we need to do it on all, put some random rubbish in there for the second, which creates an entry. We can then Control V it, get rid of the garbage, and it will now do the same thing in this one. There we go. I'll just expand that. You can see it's all there. There you go. That's how you can do some pip commands. As I say, with these ones here, we can be a bit more creative if we wanted to. We could get it to do either one pip or two pips in the command. We could combine it all together into one big command. If that's something you'd like to see, let me know, and we'll do that as a little separate mini episode. But I think for now, that'll cover most of it. As usual, comments below if you've got any suggestions, or you can always pop on my Discord and drop a message there. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, what anything, put them in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you've enjoyed the video or found it useful, click the like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe too, and share the video out. Until the next one, take care, and I'll see you soon. Toodles!